Hey guys, what's up? It's Eric with Advanced Level Automotive. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. We're actually here at my house, inside of my garage. If you didn't know, I recently purchased a home a couple months ago. I've always wanted a house with a garage somewhere, I can make my little man cave slash workstation. Now, I've rented houses in the past before with garages, but there's a difference between like renting and owning a house, especially when it comes to like modifications. Now that I own a house, I feel comfortable doing modifications and improvements. So I guess that's kind of what this video series is. I'm just gonna be bringing you guys along, showing you the different things I'm gonna be doing to the garage. One of the first modifications I did was the lighting. So if you guys look behind me, I'm gonna turn around. You'll notice that the garage door is closed and it's actually pretty well lit in here. And the reason for that is because up on the ceiling, I have about 6 LED bars. Let me show you guys. So if you look up at the ceiling here, you'll see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 LED bars. I bought these off of Amazon. I think the brand name is Baringa, something like that. I'll leave a link in the description. These are definitely worth the money. I think I spent like not even $45 for this whole set. And they just kind of tie in series to one another. They did come with little installation brackets, but I kind of found those difficult to use. These things are actually really light. They weigh like nothing. So what I did was I used some double-sided sticky tape and just taped these to the ceiling. And when I tell you guys these lights are not going anywhere, I mean, I even tried to pull the light off because I had to reposition it, and the double-sided sticky tape actually ended up peeling the paint off of the ceiling. So that's how well that double-sided sticky tape holds these lights up. So I don't think there's really any use for those brackets. I mean, I guess in some applications, but like I said, guys, some double-sided sticky tape with this stuff, it'll hold them up great. So if you look up here, this is the light that came in the garage, this little bulb right here, and even the garage door opener has a light in there. But let me show you guys when I turn this light off. So this is where I have the switch wired up. I'm gonna go ahead and flick this off and just look how sad the lighting is in here. So this is all of the lighting that we have inside the garage. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with that little light bulb. I mean, maybe they didn't think that anyone needed to see in the dark, but look at the difference when I turn the light on. Bam, it's like daylight in here. Now this is nice because I'm gonna be utilizing this space to make videos. So, I have to have some good lighting. I'm probably also gonna go ahead and replace that bulb with an LED one. I've seen some on Amazon that have the little LED pads and they just screw right into the socket there. So I think I'm gonna replace that as well. Now the next modification that I wanna make is something that I really wanted to do as soon as I moved in, before I started utilizing the space, and that's gonna be epoxying the floors. Now, if any of you guys have ever epoxied a floor or painted concrete, you'll know that surface preparation is key in having a successful job done when it comes to epoxying a floor. So luckily this house is a new construction house. This is a brand new slab of concrete. This house wasn't here a year ago, so this slab is pretty much brand new. Now, I wanted to avoid doing any work in here or having any oil stains on the floor before I put the epoxy, because you guys know you really can't have any oil or any type of stains on the concrete because it won't allow the epoxy to stick. So like I said, this is a brand new slab of concrete, but I've got a little bit of an oil stain going on here. I did do a brake job in here and a couple of other jobs, and one of the vehicles was dripping oil, got on my concrete. Let me show you guys the condition of my floor right now. Okay, so looking at the floor, it looks pretty good. Again, this is a brand new slab of concrete. You can see I've got a little bit of oil stain going on here. I had a vehicle, I was doing a brake job. You can see the brake rotors over here. I got to clean all this stuff up. And it was dripping some oil here. So I'm going to have to use a degreaser to clean that off. Got some brake dust from these brakes. They were completely worn out, so there was a bunch of brake dust. Anyway, like I said, preparation is key in having a successful epoxy job. So before I do any painting, I'm gonna be using a degreaser on the floor. Then I'm gonna have to let it dry for a couple days because you cannot have any moisture on this concrete. It has to be completely dry. So that means you also have to take into account the weather. So I've looked at the weather for the week. Looks like we're gonna be having sunny days all day this week. So I picked a pretty good week to do this. You don't wanna do this on a week where it's raining or where the humidity is real high. Then again, I'm in Houston, Texas, so the humidity is always really high. Anyway, let me show you guys the product that I'm gonna be using. If you look right down here, I have this Rust-Oleum Rock Solid. Now, I paid a little bit extra for this one because it's actually not an epoxy. This is considered a Ploycurimine. I'm not sure what the difference is, but apparently this thing is 20 times stronger than epoxy, and it's also ready to drive on in 24 hours. Now, I don't know if I'll trust that, and I don't know what they mean by 20 times stronger than epoxy, but I figured if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. I'm gonna spend the extra money. Now, I did check out some reviews online, and people are saying that even though it says here 2.5 car garage kit, this is not enough to do a 2.5 car garage. So I may end up picking up an extra box of this just to have it in case I need it. I don't want to be running to Home Depot to try to pick this up, which, by the way, this is where I bought it. I bought it at Home Depot. If you guys don't have a Home Depot nearby, I'll try to find this kit on Amazon, and I'll leave a link in the description for that. Anyway, if I open up this box, you'll see, well, it shows you right here. Kit includes instructions, of course. It's got some concrete etch, which we're going to be using this after we use this degreaser. Got this purple power. That's what I'm going to be using to degrease the floor. It came with 2 foam rollers, the Ploycurimine pouches. There's 2 of them, and it came with some decorative chips. So I've already checked inside to make sure that nothing's missing. So if you look inside this box, everything's in here. The color chips, the pouches. There's 2 of them. They come with these really nice foam rollers. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be doing. Now, before I get started, you guys can see my garage has accumulated quite a bit of junk. So first things first, let me go ahead and clear the space out. Bam. Now that wasn't so hard, was it? Actually, that was pretty difficult, especially since the contractors who built the house, I guess, left me a huge pile of bricks over here, which, I'm not complaining. I'll use those bricks probably for the foundation that I'm building for a shed in the backyard. But yeah, I had to move that thing, and I don't have a wheelbarrow. I don't have a dolly or anything like that. I just literally had to carry each brick one by one to the backyard. And anyway, now that that's out of the way, you guys can see we have the floor. I've swept it. That's about it. Now it's time for me to do the degreaser. So let me go ahead and get started. Okay, so now that the floor has been degreased, it's time to add the etch. This came in the package here. You're supposed to mix it in 2 gallons of water, and then we're going to spread it across the floor. We're going to scrub it very thoroughly using that brush broom that I have, and then we're gonna have to rinse it out completely, and then we're going to have to push all the water out. You don't want to leave any standing water after you're done etching. This thing needs to be able to completely dry out. So let's go ahead, mix this in a bucket, and let's get started. All right, guys, so as you can see, we are done with phase 1. Got the concrete etched and clean. I tried to dry it up as much as I could, but there's a few spots here that I just couldn't get up. I used the leaf blower to try to disperse as much of the water as I could. Now we're just gonna let it sit overnight and dry. Well, I'm gonna put a fan in here so that we can keep the air circulating, and I'm actually gonna let it dry for 2 days. I wanna let this stuff completely dry off before we attempt to lay down the epoxy. So at this point, I'm gonna call it a night, and I'll see you guys in 48 hours. Welcome back, guys. It's 2 days later, and it looks like this floor is completely dried up. We're ready to lay down this Ploycurimine. As you guys can see, I've got the edges taped off. I used some blue painter's tape to mark off where I don't want to paint. I kind of decided not to paint up along the edge of the wall here where the concrete extends. I mean, maybe in the future I might, reapply it there, but for now, I think I'm gonna leave it that way. Anyway, so this floor is completely dried. I swept it out, made sure that there's no dust left on here. So let me show you guys how this product works. So in the package, it comes with 2 of these packs, and you can see there's a part A and a part B. And there's a seam in the center here, which when you press down on this, it's going to break the seal, and that's going to mix the 2 parts, part A and part B. What they want you to do is just kind of mix them up inside of the bag for about 3 minutes or so. And what I'm gonna do that's a little bit different than what I see everyone else doing, which is directly pouring the contents of that bag onto the floor and then spreading it out. I think I'm gonna go the method of using a paint tray. I just feel like I have a little bit more control using that rather than just pouring this directly on the floor and trying to spread it out. I wanna try to get as evenly of a coat as possible. And plus I wanna be able to use this paintbrush here in order to paint the edges and up against the wall, because I don't want the roller going all the way up to the edge. So I'm gonna start by taking the paintbrush and kind of doing the edges here. And then I'm going to start by painting that area, and I'm going to work my way outside of the garage. Now, when I finish the section up there, I'm going to add these little paint chips. Now, these are decorative chips, but they also work to give you traction. Some of you guys know with these epoxy floors, they can get pretty slippery when it rains outside or when it gets wet. And so these chips, not only do they look nice, but they add a little bit of traction so that, you don't slip and fall. So like I said, as soon as I get done with that section, I'm going to sprinkle this on top of it, start painting this section, sprinkle this on top of it, and just kind of work my way out. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay guys, my mistake. I was not paying attention. Let me explain what happened. So I started using the paint roller tray, and I found that it actually was spreading it kind of thin. So I found it was easier to just kind of pour this on the floor and just kind of spread it out, because this stuff is actually really watery. It's not like paint at all. It's almost like water. So once it hits the floor and you start spreading it, it really spreads really easily. Anyway, so I did the part up here using the paint tray. And once I got down here, I switched over to the second bag, and I ended up just pouring that bag on the floor and spreading it out. But I wasn't paying attention because I set the bag on the floor behind me while I was spreading out the epoxy or polycurimine, whatever you call this. And I didn't realize that the bag behind me was actually leaking. So of course I cut it open, and then I sat it down, and it must have fell over and poured the entire contents on the floor right here. So I kind of went into panic mode, and I just had to spread it out all over the floor. I mean, as you guys can see, it's got pretty good coverage. And, honestly, I think that I may have been able to get away with just buying one box and just utilizing the 2 bags. But I think that when that bag blew up on me, I just kind of had to spread it out and, do what I could. So this layer over here is actually pretty thick. I mean, I'm not upset about that. I guess it's better to have a thicker layer than a thinner layer. So I'm gonna have to open up the second box. Again, like I explained, I purchased a second box of this just in case I needed it. If I didn't use it, then I was just gonna take it back and get my money back. But it looks like I'm gonna have to utilize a third bag to finish up this section here. Again, I think I might have been able to get away with just buying one box. But if you guys are gonna do this and you have a garage about this size, I would buy a second box just in case. The other problem that I have right now, and this is really annoying, is that I don't know where this swarm of love bugs came in. I think that's what they're called. I'm not sure what these are called. These bugs that, they're kind of stuck together. They're kind of mating or whatever you call it. So I'm laying this stuff down, and all of a sudden I've got swarms of these bugs coming in here, and they're all sticking to my floor. I mean, if you look, it's hard to tell because I have a lot of flakes that I threw on the floor, but a lot of these are little bugs that I'm having to kind of pick off the paint. And they're just coming in swarms. So I think at this point, I'm gonna have to finish up this real quick and shut the garage door. The other thing, luckily, is that my garage door, when it actually sits kind of in front right here, it doesn't actually look like it's going to hit the epoxy. So again, I'm gonna have to finish this up and close the door so I don't get any more of these bugs in here. All right, guys, so I'm done laying down the coat. Again, it's pretty thick. I'm pretty happy with it. It's gonna have to let this thing dry. I don't know if it's gonna be this glossy once it dries. We're gonna find out. But I gotta get this garage door closed because I got a ton of these flies. You see them coming in here and they're just getting stuck to the floor here. I don't want any more of these guys getting stuck in there. Come on. So let me go ahead and shut the garage door and we'll check this out tomorrow. All right, guys, so it is the next day. It has been a little over 16 hours since I laid down the coat. I'm about to open the garage door for the first time. I don't know if it's gonna be fully dry. It says on the box that it should be walk-on ready in about 8 to 10 hours, but it takes 24 hours for it to fully cure before you can actually drive a vehicle on it. So I'm probably gonna wait a couple days before I actually put any vehicles on it. Today, it's actually a little bit overcast, so it's not as sunny and as hot as I was hoping. So I'm probably gonna wait a few days. I think it's actually gonna rain tomorrow, so I'm glad that I laid the coat down yesterday. But anyway, let's go ahead and open up the garage door and let's see what this looks like. Okay, this looks like it's kind of still wet. Let me touch it. Oh, wow. Guys, this is dry. Oh, wow, that is glossy. Are you serious? Can I walk on it? Okay, yeah, that feels fully dry. Oh my God, guys. I did not realize how glossy this floor would be. Look at that reflection of the door on the floor over there and the reflection of the lights. Look at the reflection of that. Holy crap. This floor is glossy. Wow. All right, guys, so I really was not expecting it to be this glossy. I mean, on the box it said extra gloss, but I mean, this is on another level. Like I said, I've used that 2-part epoxy before, but this is not epoxy. This is something a little bit different, that Ploycurimine. I don't know. I know for sure that when I laid it down, it went on a lot differently than the epoxy. And I will say that I started using the paint tray, but then I quickly found out that it was easier to just pour it onto the floor because this stuff actually wasn't like that 2-part epoxy that I've used before. This stuff was more like watery liquid. So when you poured it, it kind of just spread it out really easy. Like I said, I started with the paint tray and I quickly ditched that and I just started pouring it on the floor. And I mean, it spread across the floor pretty evenly. And I know I put a pretty thick layer over here because I ended up using a total of like 3 bags completely to finish off this floor. And again, as you guys saw, one of those bags actually tipped over and it dumped all the contents. And you know, I kind of was just doing the best I could to spread that out as evenly as possible. But I'll tell you right now, man, I am happy with the results. This is amazing. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how amazing this floor is. The only problem I think I had, and you guys might notice them, I don't know if you can see, I've got swarms of these little love bugs flying around. You guys see these bugs? Well, yesterday and still today, there's just swarms of these guys. So they started coming out of nowhere and they started sticking to my paint. And you know, when I shut the garage door, Well, the problem is when they got into the garage, there was nothing I can do about it because I couldn't walk on the floor because the floor was all wet. And so there's actually quite a bit of these guys stuck to my floor epoxy. I can point out a few of them already. You see that? That bug is stuck in there. Oh man, there's a bunch of them. Look over here, there's another one right there. Oh man, there's one that's completely covered. I wonder if that's going to affect it because this is actually raised. You know, unlike the paint chips are flat. This is actually raised up. Oh man, I hope that's not going to start to peel. See, these guys are just everywhere. I don't know where they came from. They must be migrating or something, but oh man, there's another one. There's another one there. I think that guy, I might be able to just kind of peel him off. Oh man, there's a ton of them actually. Oh man, I hate you guys. Seriously. There's some more over here. There's one right there. Oh man, they are all over my floor. Okay, so I guess the lesson here is make sure you're not gonna have a swarm of flies coming in when you go to put this stuff down. There's another fly. Well, this is an actual like fly. Man, there's another one right there. Okay, well, that sucks. I mean, I'm hoping I'm gonna be able to kind of peel them off the floor, but you know, at least I have an extra bag left over so that if I have to maybe peel some off, I can probably do a little bit of touch up. But yeah, guys, just, I don't know, try to avoid having swarms of these flies. Oh man, they're all coming in. Check this out. Now, I don't know if this is gonna show up on the camera, but there's swarms of these flies all over the place, man. Look at that. They're all coming inside.
1 week later.